see if he comes up on your phone, then we'll know if it's working. Okay, it's working. Which means they can hear me.
Yep.
Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? I miss people. I miss all of you so much. I love my children. We've had actually a very easy last couple of weeks at home, but it's so nice to know that you're on the other side of the camera, or maybe you will be later. So a couple weeks ago, you all heard me make a promise that we would be sharing a post or two a day of items in the store, and that there would be some DIY videos. And I'm in that moment, the DIY videos just sort of fell out of my mouth, and I didn't even know I had said it until you all said good luck and we hope to see your DIY videos. So that was good. It's held me accountable. Here I am. We're gonna start. So I don't have a plan. I've been practicing this in my head in my kitchen for weeks now, but this is sort of off the cuff at the same time. So what I wanted to start with today is not so much a DIY video, but a little explanation about American Paint Company, and that's the brand of paint that we sell in our store, and why we chose this paint company to sell and use. So when we were looking for a paint company back, I don't know if it would be 5 or 6 years ago now, we researched all the brands, and the one I fell in love with was American Paint Company. And the reason I chose it is it's a completely eco-friendly paint. So the colors actually, Wendy is smirking back there. Why are you smirking?
Just trying to figure this all out.
Is anybody on there yet?
Yep.
Oh, I'm excited. Hello, who's on there?
Lisa Kerr.
Oh, hi Lisa.
I don't know how to tell who else is.
It's okay. Hi Lisa and whoever else is on there. It's our first live video, so we're going to try and figure it out. Wendy's back there looking at her phone. It's our first time even using a tripod, so you're all on the ground level. Anyway, so the reason I chose American Paint Company, there was actually many reasons, but it's a completely eco-friendly paint. So it's a true chalk paint. It is made from chalk, clay, and minerals. There is absolutely no chemicals in this paint. And at the time, I had a 2-year-old who was into everything, and so I wanted a paint that I knew that if he got into, first of all, we could use it for craft activities at home and he would be okay, and secondly, if he got into it, there would be no harm done. So I can attest that 5 years later, he's almost 8, and he's ate quite a bit of this paint, and he's completely fine. So you can eat it, it tastes terrible, but that's how natural it is. So no chemicals, it's completely water solvent, and what that means is, like, when you open up a new can or a new jar of paint, I don't know if you can see, it's like, can you see that, Wendy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's like extremely thick. It's totally clay, chalk, and minerals. It has a little bit of movement in there, but not much. So a little can of paint like this, which is a 4-ounce can of paint, will do about 10 square feet of coverage. And how you use the paint, actually I'm not going to use the new one, how you would use the paint is you would spoon some of it out of this jar, like it is thick, into another container, and you can add water to it. And you want to end up with a paint that is kind of the same consistency as a regular latex paint. So a little can of paint goes deceivingly far. And if you were to put this on, can you see that, Wendy?
Yep.
If you were to put this on straight up thick, you would get a lot of paint lines in it and a lot of messiness, and it would be too thick. So we always water it back so that it's a lot more like a latex paint. So you can really take these jars of paint and spin them a long way. And they're not all that thick. It seems to depend on the color, but you almost always have to add water to it. And you never want to add water to your pot of paint because it's a contaminant. We're not using distilled water. You don't have to use distilled water, but I like to just take it out, put it into another container, and then use the paint from this container. So it goes a very long ways. It is completely eco-friendly, very easy to clean up because it's water soluble. Your kids and your dog can eat it. So it's great as a craft paint for kids or for anyone. It's got really nice coverage. And then the advantage to a chalk paint over, say, like a latex paint is if you were going to, we refinished this cupboard sometime last year, and we had already refinished this cupboard once. But the nice thing is all you have to do is clean your project, and you can paint it right inside your home. So if you have a husband or yourself who isn't able to move your cabinet out to the garage, or let's face it, how much fun is it to move a cabinet out to the garage anyway? There's no chemicals, so there's no smells. There's an easy to clean up. You can like pull it out from the wall and paint it right in place. So that's very convenient and easy, and more likely to do the project, I think. So those are the reasons we bought it. Did I miss anything, Wendy?
No.
The reason why we picked this line. Okay, so when you're using a chalk paint, one of the advantages is the easy prep. You don't have to sand everything back. You can paint anything. You can paint a slick surface like a melamine cabinet. There are some tricks to painting things. What we teach in our 101 class, if you have taken our 101 class, or even if you haven't, is even how to paint a glass jar. So we're just going to kind of quickly show you about painting glass, which is very similar to painting melamine. So you want to put it on in thin layers. You do not want to go back over top of it. And the first time you do it, it's going to look a little bit like a kindergarten student painted it. And this is kind of just giving you a base coat to give the next layer of paint something to stick to. So it can go on very thin. And then you're going to set it aside. So you kind of get coverage the first time, and this would be like this on a melamine or any slick surface. And paint the top, do whatever you want to do. It's nice to practice on a glass jar, and we seem to always have glass jars around. And they make nice little vases when you're done. So that would be your first layer on glass or any slick surface. And this is the hardest thing to finish. And then you're going to just set it aside and let it dry. You can use this paint on leather, so another slicker surface. You can use it on fabric, you can use it on wood, you can use it on anything. That's the trick right there, so let that dry and then keep going over top of it. Now because it's water soluble, one of my favorite things about it is if you want to distress it, how easy it is to distress. So once you get your paint on, you've let it dry, you do another coat on the jar. And then if you were going to distress something, for example this sign, if you were to distress something with traditional paint, like a latex paint or an acrylic paint, you have to take sandpaper to it, and you have to sand off your top layer of paint. And what happens is sandpaper is so abrasive, it goes right down to the raw wood almost immediately every time. And how you distress with chalk paint, how you get that really cool edge, it's too hard to see back there, but how this look is achieved in here is actually, again, totally mess-free, so you don't have to have your sandpaper out or your palm sander in your house. Now you've got 2 layers of paint on, and you want to go down to the first layer. You can just take a clean lint-free rag of any description or color, you dip it in some water, and you rub it over the paint, and it will take it down to whatever layer of distressing that you like. So that's super easy. Easy for kids, easy for you, easy for everyone. So, yeah. Did I miss any of that stuff, Wendy? No? No questions? It's still just Lisa?
No.
No?
No, we've got quite a few.
Oh, awesome. Exciting. Okay, so I don't want to make this too long or boring. Okay, so let's say you get your project painted and you've got your paint on. You're in your house. The next step would be to seal it. So because this is a paint that you can clean up with water, you obviously need something to finish it off and keep it so that it's durable and you can use it forever. So if you are doing a project, we sell 3 different kinds of sealers. So if you are doing a project that is going to get a lot of use, so let's say you're doing a kitchen table or end table or something that you're going to wear a lot on, my favorite product to use is the Topcoat. It's also the easiest product to use. So you just apply Topcoat over any painted surface with a foam brush, which I didn't grab a foam brush. And it dries that's the other thing. The other nice thing about the chalk paint is it dries very, very quickly. So a painted cabinet, by the time you are done giving yourself all one coat of paint, you could easily, if you're not bored, which never actually happens to me, I always am ready to do something else by then, but you can go back and start to paint at the beginning again. So very easy to paint, which is another reason we use it in our workshops, is because it dries so quickly. Anyway, you let your paint set, make sure it's completely dry. And how you can tell if it's completely dry is when you touch it, which I had something here, but when you touch the painted surface, it won't feel cold. If it feels at all cold, it's not 100% dry. Once you get it dried, the top coat can be applied with just a foam brush. You want to do it in really thin layers. So the idea here is that the top coat will make everything look wet, but it won't, but you don't want to actually see the top coat. So it kind of goes over top, makes it look smooth and finished, and then let it dry. It only needs about 15 minutes to dry, and you can do another layer. What?
We have a question.
Oh, we have a question. Oh, I'm so excited. What's the question?
It's from Sue Malone.
Hello, Sue.
She says, can I use chalk paint on my bathroom vanities?
Yes, you can. So are you talking countertop, Sue, or are you talking the actual cabinet? We'll wait for Sue to answer that. So you've used 3 coats of this. Ideally, if you were doing something like a bathroom vanity or your kitchen cabinet, about 15 to 20 minutes apart. If you can see the top coat when you put it on, if you can see white at all on it, then that means you're putting it on too thick, and it will dry kind of like white glue dries. You know how you get those little clumps from white glue? So you want to keep these layers really, really thin. So this is the easiest of the 3 sealers and the most friendly one to use, and the hardest finish at the end. Like for example, this jar, I painted this jar a little while ago, and this has got a top coat finish on it, and now with my fingernail, you can't scratch it off the finish. Yeah, you can't scratch it at all, so it holds the finish really, really well. If you were doing a project outside that needs, or something even a little bit harder, this is a hard coat, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a harder finish than the top coat. It's a thicker product. This one has a tiny little bit of chemical in it, and the reason for this is that it has UV rays. It's going to protect you from UVs. So if you're doing an outdoor product, like maybe you're making a sign for your garden or you're doing a garden bench, same process of application as the top coat, but you would use hard coat just because it's going to protect you from UV rays. And then chalk paint is really famous for wax. Everybody always wants to finish everything with a wax, and wax gives you a beautiful finish, there is no doubt. Wax, our wax in particular, is like a really soft, probably can't see that, but it smells good. A lot of the waxes on the market are like, you don't want to use it in your house because it smells so bad. Ours is like a buttery, soft, smooth, silky, odorless, or almost a sweet smelling, if any odor at all, wax. And what wax is great for, I would not use wax on my kitchen tabletop. I would not use wax on my bathroom vanity. So wax is probably the hardest finish to apply. I shouldn't say to apply. It's easy to apply, but it's the hardest one to finish properly. So you would take, again, your clean white rag, you would take your wax, you would rub it all over your surface, and then you just have to keep buffing and buffing and buffing. And it's going to take 30 days to fully cure. And then even then, at some point down the line, I'd done a tabletop at one point, used wax on it, and then my kids put something really hot directly on it, and it melted the wax a little bit. The nice thing about that is it's very easy to fill back in with wax, but it's not a super durable finish in terms of everyday use, so like a kitchen counter or a bathroom vanity. So this is great like on a sideboard, you know, something that's more for display, that's not going to get that kind of treatment, or on a craft project, because it gives you just the nicest feel, something you want to run your hands over. It'll feel really nice. Wendy's giving me, we have the question. What's the question?
From Michelle Downs.
Hi Michelle, how are you, Michelle? I wish I could see you.
I have been told that wax is best to use if finishing kitchen cabinets. What are your thoughts? Wax versus top coat or hard coat?
I would use top coat, just for the durability factor. So wax, the neat thing about wax is that you get, so we have 4 different colors of wax. So if you want to distress something and you don't want to rub it back, you can use the wax. So you can take like the dark wax or the black wax and use it. Oh, my dad's here. He must want to be on camera because he's trying to like throw me off over on the side. Social distancing, off you go. Wendy's even 6 feet back. I have no idea what I was saying. The wax, you can use the wax to distress something or make something whiter with the white wax, but it's not as hard a finish. So if I was going to do my kitchen cabinets, probably what I would do actually is use the top coat, get that really hard finish underneath of it. Top coat has a little bit of a sheen to it, which I don't super love, but this will seal your paint the best. So use your top coat and then go back over top of it with the wax, you know, in a week or something, or you probably could do that. I guess you could do the wax the next day, you have to be prepared to do a lot more work. If you're going to use the wax on your kitchen cabinets, it's going to require a lot of buffing in order to get the finish really, really hard. So my preference would be to seal it, and then probably the nicest look is the wax. Was that very convoluted the way I answered that?
No.
No? Okay. Let me know if that doesn't make sense, Michelle. No more word on the bathroom vanity?
Yeah, she said, and would it stand up to moisture?
Yes, it'll stand up to moisture. So the hard coat the top coat is great for standing up to moisture. We've had some people do like their melamine cabinets with the chalk paint. That's not my favorite, or not the cabinet, sorry, the countertop. That's not my favorite. I think you are better to buy a countertop kit. Like they have a countertop painting kit. You can buy them at like Home Depot or Lowe's. I think you'll get a better, longer lasting finish with that. But we've done bathroom vanities in our holiday trailer last year. And lots of people have painted the actual cabinet part, and it's fantastic on the wood. And again, the no prep, easy to do. I would finish it with the hard coat. And if you didn't like the finish of the hard coat, go over the wax over top of it for that smooth finish. And the wax will repel the water. It'll last a long, long time. The trick to doing cabinets really, really well is people want to often glob the paint on really thickly and try to finish it quickly. You'll get brush strokes. The thicker the layers of the paint you put on, and the finish isn't as hard. So if you can kind of like do one layer today, water your paint back a little bit, do one layer today as an example, and then walk away and come back and do a second layer tomorrow, that works the best. Did I talk about cleaning for cabinets? No, I didn't, hey? Okay, super important. Before you start to clean, the only bit of prep work you have to do, and you can sand. It's not that you can't do a bit of scratch sanding. I wouldn't sand a lot off. Sometimes on melamine, or something super smooth, a little bit of sanding makes this part of it easier. But what you must do if you are doing kitchen cabinets or bathroom cabinets is you must clean it. You have to get all those like old finger oils and greases, and like where something splattered on it, you must get that clean, because the paint is going to only adhere to a clean surface properly. And sometimes people will be like, oh, I did this and my paint is peeled off in this corner, and I'll be like, well, did you clean it? And they'll be like, no, I didn't clean it. So something like that will inhibit the paint sticking properly. So you can clean it with like an alcohol-based cleaner. You can clean it with like a TSP. American Paint Company sells a surface prep. This is like a highly concentrated bottle of great cleaner. Again, it's all eco-friendly, sprayed in your kitchen. I like to dump it into like one of these spray bottles, add water to it, and then just clean everything really, really well. The nice thing about this is you don't have to rinse it after. So you can take your cabinets, clean it with this, and then go straight to painting. If you use a TSP or a chemical that leaves a residue, of course you're going to need to clean that off with just water after, but you do need to clean everything really, really well in order to get the paint to stick. Okay, Wendy, now did I miss anything? I should have wrote a list.
You can use it for brushes too.
Oh yeah, and this is also actually a really great brush cleaner. It's a surface prep and a brush cleaner, and it works really, really well on the brushes. You kind of just like, I like to take my brushes and kind of just like put a little bit on here and then rub it around like this underneath the water, and the brushes will come really, really clean. So speaking of brushes, it is important to get the best finish. A good quality brush is important when using anything. Like your tools are important when you're doing any job. So we sell the Vanities brand of brushes. These brushes are great because they're not synthetic bristles. These are natural. I think they're actually pig hair. Does pigs have hair? I don't know. It's something about a pig, and it's not a synthetic brush. It's a natural bristle. And if you were to look at, do we have an open one? No, we brought an open one. Hang on. Well, we have a really old open one. This brush has seen me through a lot of projects. So you can just see there is like a million bristles in here. And so why this is important is, of course, it's going to hold more paint. And the more paint that you hold, the better finish you're going to get. If you're trying to do this with like a regular paintbrush, you know, they're really, really thin and they don't hold enough paint. And the paint doesn't go on as smoothly because you can load these brushes so well. So I love the Vanities brushes. I would say if you're considering, they come in 4 sizes. Apparently we're out of small. Nope, here's small. So 4 sizes. I would invest in a brush that is kind of suitable to the size of project that you're doing. So if you're doing a small craft project, you can invest in a petite brush and it will handle everything. You don't want to try and use the large brush on a small project. Similarly, you don't want to use a large brush on a small project. So we sell medium the most. I like small. It'll just make it work quicker and easier. The big brushes are hard. If you're using them for small projects, the big brushes are hard to use because they don't get in all the little areas. So brushes are important. Not to say you can't paint with the other stuff, not to say that you can't use a foam roller on your cabinet. You just are going to get a little bit better finish with these, easier finish. I wouldn't even say better, but an easier finish. And then when you go to do wax, we sell a wax brush. So you can apply wax with a cloth like this. It depends what I'm doing. I like to do it both ways. The wax brush is great if you've got a cabinet that's got like a lot of detail in it, because you can really push the brush and push it into those little crevices. You know, when you get a little bit of detail, like on this flower pot, you're going to get a better finish with a brush that you can maneuver into the little spots on the cavities. You can do it with this. This is just a little bit easier. This is what you need, a soft white cloth to buff. And it's sort of like wax on, wax off, wax on, wax off, and you buff and buff and buff and buff, and you can buff it tomorrow and the next day and the next day, and just know it'll be 30 days before it fully cures. And then in our workshops, we use foam brushes. Again, I don't know why I don't have a foam brush. Foam brush, oh, because I used it on the jar. Foam brushes to apply the sealers. But Antiquities has just come out with a thin brush. These are still a natural bristle, still more bristles than a normal brush. I have started to use these for paint in some of my projects. Thought I had everything so organized. Started to use these in some of my projects for paint, and they work great for that, but then you would not want to use it as a sealer brush, so one or the other. So if you don't want to buy foam brushes all the time, these work great for sealers, but they're also a good paint brush. And a sealer brush, I don't know, a sealer brush can be almost anything. A foam brush will work. Anything will put your sealer on, as long as you don't put it on too thick. Okay, so I feel like I've talked a lot. Oh yeah, the glaze. Oh yeah, let's talk about the sizes of the paint too. Oh, and what the paint comes in, because this was supposed to be about paint. So there's 51 colors to choose from in the American Paint Company lineup. We have been spending lots of time on our website. It's a huge job. I was a person who, if you had met me in the past, I always say, oh, I love our store, and someday we're going to get a good website. And COVID-19 has taught me that a website is very important. I was not ready for that lesson, but we're working on it. So all the paint products are now loaded on the website. That's what we've spent the last couple weeks doing. So you can see all 51 colors on our website. They have a beautiful array of colors. I love their colors. They've taken, the company is owned by a lady, and she has taken all colors from nature to create her color palette. So there's like some beautiful, vibrant pinks and blues and greens. There's some great kind of country whites. There's a great black. There's 3 or 4 different shades of gray. So the palette is fantastic. Yellows, the palette is great. So you can check those out on our website. They come in 3 sizes, and that's a little bit confusing how that works. All of them come in the pot size. So this is the 4-ounce pot size. This will give you about 10 square feet. Many of them come in the pint size, and I shouldn't say many of them. They all come in the pint size. We don't stock them all in the pint size. And the reason is there isn't a huge price difference between the pint and the quart. So if it comes in the quart, we carry the entire line in the quarts. We can order them for you in the pint. But by the time you buy 2 pints and try to figure out if that was enough for you, you were better off buying the quart price-wise. So mostly we carry the quarts. There's a few colors that only are available in pint size, so we carry the pints in that. So if you want to like shoot us off a question and find out, this is how big my cabinet is, how much paint do you think you need? This one is going to do about 75 square feet by the time that you water it down. And I don't know, I've never used a pint. I should ask that question. I never use a pint. I always go big or go home. Or if I'm doing a craft project, I like to use these little pots. Which this pot is, well, that's a wax pot. Okay, and then finally, they sell a whole line of embellishments. So embellishments are like if you've been watching chalk paint videos and you have seen people like make them really shiny, or you have seen them make them distressed, or you've done all these other things. We have all of that as well. I don't want to go into that today because it's kind of like a next step, but let's say you want to make something shiny. There's a whole line of metallics. Metallics are just a shiny paint. They come in 5 colors. So we use these a little bit in our workshops. I haven't used these a lot because I'm not a girl who likes shiny stuff, but that is available. But what I use all the time, all the time, maybe the product I use the most actually, are the glazes. So there is 4 colors of glaze. We're out of one of them. 4 different glazes, and not a color either. So there's a black glaze. The black glaze can be distressed down or watered down, I apologize, to any shade of gray. Where is it? Any shade of gray. And so it works like a stain. So if you've been in one of our classes, actually even this little box here, this is the black glaze. So this can come out fairly black. If you want something black, you would of course paint it. But if you're wanting to kind of see the wood grain through it, the glaze will do that for you. So this is the black glaze watered down to a bit of a gray. And this is also the black glaze. So there you can get, again, watered down a little bit. So you can get quite a bit of variation with just the one color of glaze. Glaze is great to use. It's sort of like our version of a stain. So you can use it on raw wood to create an eco-friendly stain that you can use in your house. Or you can also use it over top of the paint. So that's the gray. The brown, similar thing. The brown tone, this is not straight up. Again, this is probably this is fairly watered down, but it comes in quite dark when you use it straight up. And of course you can mix the brown with the black, which actually is my favorite. So I always take some brown, mix in a little bit of black, and create my own custom glaze colors. So you can get any range of black or brown from these 2 bottles. Again, water soluble. So if you've taken one of our workshops, we're like asking you which color you want and then what shade you want, and we're just spraying water straight onto a paper plate and having you apply it with either this brush, a foam brush, or a rag if it comes down to it. And then this spring they introduced a new glaze. This one I haven't used a lot yet. I have used it. It's a very light gray. Really, really pretty. For me, it's too light. I like working with, if I was going to buy one, I would probably buy the black and then make different shades of gray from it. But the gray has been quite popular. So you can use that on raw wood. Now let's say this is a picture frame. I think Wendy actually painted this picture frame. This was a picture frame, I apologize, painted with home plate. So let me grab some home plate here for you. Home plate is American Paint Company's #1 selling paint color. It's like just a real creamy, barely off-white white. I can find you the stick. So there's our 4 whites. This is home plate, and this is the #1 color for American Paint Company. Home plate. So home plate was painted on this picture frame. This was just like a dollar store picture frame we were messing around with. So she painted this with home plate, and then she took some brown glaze, just this straight out of the bottle, and rubbed it over top of it to create that really cool, variated kind of look in the frame. So that was like a dollar store picture frame. I don't know, Wendy, what's your word for it? Doesn't look like a dollar store picture frame. That turns out really, really cool. So the glaze can go over any color of the paint. And like as another example, this tray was painted in a fairly light colored blue, not light colored blue, but a bluer blue than this, and Wendy likes it dark. Wendy's favorite thing is to take our color called Born on the 4th. So that's what this will be. Wendy uses Born on the 4th all the time. I don't know, can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
See the variation?
Yeah.
So Born on the 4th, the tray was done in Born on the 4th. She added the black glaze, that sound right? Yeah, added the black glaze to it and deepened that color down to this really pretty navy color. You can see the black glaze on the back in a little bit deeper concentration. So the glazes are really, really cool to do that with. The 4th color of glaze is not really a color, it's a clear glaze. And so what the clear glaze does, same size bottle, you take the clear glaze and you mix it with any one of our paint colors, and now you've created a custom glaze color. So lots of times people want to glaze something with white, or they want to glaze it even like in a little girl's room. Oh, I dipped right in the purple. They want to glaze a little girl something pink or purple, or there's just times you want beachy stuff and you want to glaze it in one of these turquoisey colors. You can apply that color, any color of glaze you want over top of your paint by using the clear glaze. So very cool product, the clear glaze, which is why we're out of it. We're always out of clear glaze, it feels like. But we have a paint order coming soon. Okay. Any more questions?
Yep. Sue Malone asked again, what about using this paint on oak stair railings?
Yes, you can. I'd have to think about the sealer for a second, Sue. So same thing, you don't have to sand it down. It'll have like that, a bit of a slippery finish on it, those railings. So I actually have to think about it a second. It's gonna be a high traffic area. I think what I would do is I might give that a really good cleaning with the sealer, and I might actually give that a little quick sand over top of it, and nothing, just like a scuff sand, just because it's going to be so high traffic area and it's going to have so much finger grease on it, if you know what, it sounds so gross when you say it like that. But it's going to have so many contaminants on it from our hands. Cleaning it's going to be super important. I think I would give it a real quick scuff sand, and I mean like quick. I mean just enough to kind of get through that acrylic sealer that they've used on it, and then you would paint it, and then I'm pretty sure I would go for 3 coats of top coat on it. I've had people paint their floors with our chalk paint, and it stood up really, really well. So they paint it, in that case I think they've used hard coat on it and walked on it. They've painted designs into their floor and walked on it with the hard coat, and 3 and 4 years ago, and every time I see them I ask, and they're like, yeah, it stood up really, really great. So it's not a paint that can't be used in a high traffic area. It totally can, and it stands up really, really well. You have to give it time to cure. So with the top coat even, I wouldn't say like paint it today and then run your hands all over it all day tomorrow. I would give it a couple of days to cure and harden up. I think it would do really well in that. But I think I would sand that just a little bit, just because it's a lot of work. Any other questions? Okay, so we talked a little bit about this. I'm trying so hard not to be a dork on video. So we wanted to offer you this, exactly what we just had today, a little bit of an Ask Julie, and if I don't know the answer, I will find out the answer for you. So if you have any chalk paint questions or any project questions, we would love it if you would send us a message. Wendy's smiling again. What?
She said awesome, thanks, Julie.
Okay. If you would send us a question, we'll try and answer it in a video, or try and show it to you, or at very least we'll respond with the answer, because we know you're at home and you have all this time to work on all these projects, and it's like, how do I get started? So we totally want to help you with that. So if you have any questions at any time, feel free to fire those off to me. I don't know all the answers, but I know the people who know the answers, so we can totally help you out with that. The next thing we're going to do, or we're going to offer, and I guess we're looking for some feedback on this, is I have been quite busy in the past month consuming as much content as I can. So it has been like, I've been taking workshops through Zoom and through Facebook Live. I've been listening to like all these podcasts and trying to figure out the best way to get content to you guys. And kind of what I would like to propose, or what we think we want to try, is we want to try some workshops. I miss the workshops so much, and I really want to feel like you're here with me, and I guess I can't. I really want you to come and do a workshop with me, but we can't do that right now. So what we are going to do is we are going to select some workshop projects, some old, some new. We might start with an old one, just because being on the other side of the camera is a little bit nerve-wracking, and I'm so comfortable with the old ones. So we're going to select some workshop projects. We will prepare you a kit that will have all of everything you need in it, unless it's sort of like a pencil or household items that we think you will have on hand, but you will have a supply list. And then Wendy and I were talking about a good time to do a video to do those kits, and right now we're thinking Saturday nights. I don't know if you guys miss Saturday nights out. I never really had Saturday nights out, but right now I seem to want to connect with people on Saturday nights. So sometime Saturday afternoon, probably not this Saturday, maybe next Saturday, we would do a live video like this, where I would walk you through all of the steps to do the project, and hopefully you could do the project with me. If you can't do the project with me, those videos are going to go onto our soon-to-be created YouTube channel. This is really forcing me to get outside my box so that you can reference back to the video at any time and finish the project at home. We are looking for project ideas. If there's something I always said I would do and I didn't do it, now's the time to hit me up on that. The first project I think we're going to try, or one of the projects we're going to try, just because it's easy to ship, and you can do curbside pickup, of course, but we're going to give you the option to do our little flower box. So these are our little painted wooden flowers, and this cute little box. So that's hopefully going up on the website today or tomorrow. We're trying. But then we've got some other ones that we're going to, if you guys think this is a good idea and if there's any interest in it, we also carry Iron Orchid design products. And so they have the coolest stuff. They have molds. You can take paper clay molds and create all these really neat things with them, like a trim, recreate a trim on a dresser. They have a great stamp line, so if you're thinking about doing a wall or if you're thinking about doing a project, their stamps are amazing. We've never really taught you how to do that yet. And transfers. So this is an Iron Orchid project. This would actually be a Lazy Susan. And there's like a million different designs to choose from, and you can totally do this. So we're gonna do a Lazy Susan class if there's interest in it. I did this little sign on the weekend just because I sometimes need some paint therapy, so we're talking about making this a little workshop project. Any of our old workshop projects, we've talked about how to get those into your hands and hopefully connect with you and help pass the time a little bit at home. So let us know if that's something you're interested in. If we don't already have you on our email list, send us a message so we can add you to our email list. That'll come to you in your inbox. It'll come to you on Facebook. And yeah, we're just trying to figure out a way to connect. So let us know how we can connect with you and make this a little less boring at home. Any other questions, Wendy? Okay, well, I said to Wendy, I am not talking longer than 10 minutes. I'm pretty sure I blew right past that. So if you stuck it out with me, thanks for hanging out. Let us know if you have any questions, what you thought, any feedback. We'd love to hear from you. I hope you're all healthy and you're doing well. Just know you are missed, and we hope to see you again really, really soon. Take care, guys. Have a great day.